Good morning, warriors, and welcome to Why Shy Why. This week is an interesting one. I had a conversation with a recent acquaintance of mine last week, I think it was. We were sitting, we were having a coffee, and things happen. You go through topics. If you talk as quick and as much as I do, we tend to sort of cover a lot because that's how I am. Anyway, she sort of stopped me a little bit on my tracks when she said, I hate change. People generally hate change. Everybody hates change. And I was just like, hey, what are you talking about? Now, the background of this lady actually was quite dynamic, right? She comes from an agile background. She implements Scrum. She works with some of the great organizations in Australia and abroad. And I just thought to myself, how can you say you hate change when all you do is implement change, right? And then the secondary sort of wave hit me, the big one out of seven. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, do I hate change? Am I just faking it? And then a moment later, I thought, no, actually, I do like change. I actually enjoy change. I challenge myself with change. And so I started sort of, wait a minute, that can't be right. Not everyone hates change. After a little bit of a conversation, I realized what she meant was people hate change if they don't want it themselves, right? So when it comes to change management, guys, it's not about making people do stuff because they'll do it, especially if they report to you, for example, or you basically can pull their paycheck, but they won't like it. And if they don't like it, then you're not going to need to pay them very soon anyway because they would have left, right? And that has huge implications for your organization and your team. So you don't want to get to that point. What you would rather do is inspire change, right? And what this person was getting to was that you don't change anything until you've felt it and you mean it for yourself, right? And I totally understand that. Now, I kind of am on one spectrum, okay, of change. I love it. I kind of am in a place where it's not hard for me to inspire to change, okay? In fact, people call me a professional habit breaker, right? Because what I do is every year, every couple of months, every quarter sometimes, I'll get into a habit specifically for the reason of breaking it in 3 months' time or in 12 months' time. And the reason I do that is because it keeps me fresh. It keeps me wanting to change and making me learn. A really good example of that is at the moment I'm learning my first instrument, which is a guitar, right? So my brother saw this guitar and said, well, okay, you should get some lessons. And I was like, no, no, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to download an iPhone app. I'm going to talk to some people I know, and I'm just going to sort of strum out a little bit and what's the word? Like, just learn the chords basically, and just freestyle. And he said, oh, right. So you're going to half ass it, right? And I was like, whoa, hold on a second, And for a moment, I felt a little bit, eh. Then I thought, no, actually, that's what I'm doing. And the reason why I'm doing that is because this is just an example of the sort of stuff I do all the time, and I know people around me all the time, is if I can get to a place where I'm comfortable doing it this way, and then I have to disrupt myself and rip myself out and actually do it the right way, it makes my brain tick over a little bit better, right? Now that's one end of the spectrum, right? This change-loving freak. On the other end of the spectrum is a whole bunch of people that I'm thinking about right now, but I won't necessarily name any names. But these guys are, really secure in the way that they are, right? And oftentimes you'll hear things like, um, "Don't fix it if it ain't broken." This is how we've always done it. Those sort of phrases come out of people like this, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I have a problem with it being in an organizational context because organizations need to change by their very nature. The reason why a place like Soft Solutions does so well in an environment like ours is because people like the agility, people like the flexibility. We, as a small organization, can compete with the IBMs of the world based on change because IBM can't do it so well, right? Now, IBM has a whole bunch of really cool developers. In fact, I know for a fact these guys have really good developers, and they're going through this huge change process right now, implementing Agile into their lives across the world. 800,000 developers, I want to say, something like that. They're going to be split into Scrum groups of 7 plus or minus 2. So that's going to be interesting. So what I'm trying to say is that change is inevitable in business. And so if you are the sort of person who freaks out about change, if you don't want to change your couch for the next 35 years, that's cool. But when you step into the workplace, what you've got to realize is that without change, you're not growing. The company is not growing, and you might not care about the company, but you're not growing. Your company's not growing. And if those two things don't work, then you probably should find a place that A, you care about the company, and B, you like the way that company is going, the direction it's going, and so you want to change with it, right? Because sometimes, in fact, most of the time, nobody wants change. So I agree with my friend on that. But if you can find a place that is changing in the way that you'd like to change, that's going to be supreme for you. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for hanging out this week. I appreciate it. Have a great week. If you have any questions, just bring them on. Cheers.